Welcome to CodeCraftByAderemi. In this week, we will create an expense tracker using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Let's dive in. So, I've created a folder, then I'll create my HTML file, CSS file, and my JavaScript file. So, we'll start with the HTML file. So, I will name it index.html. Let's create another one. I'll name this style.css. So this will be our CSS file. And lastly, we'll create a JavaScript file. We will name this script.js. Now let's go back to our HTML. So we'll start with the structure. The HTML structure, doc type, doc type, yeah, HTML language, which is going to be in English, en, the head, chassis, UTF, UTF 8. Okay, meta name, viewport. Then let's add the title. So let's name it expense tracker. Then let's create the link to our CSS, style sheet, and the source, which is style.css. Okay, so let's move to the body. Okay, now let's open it using live server. Let's allow it to load. Okay, now let's go back. Let's create a div which we'll give it a name, container. class. So this we'll use this class to style it. Now let's create an header. H2, H2, expense tracker, then the closing tag. Now let's create a form. We'll give it an ID, which is expense form. Expense form. Okay. Now let's create an input inside the form. Okay, let's make the correction. You will create an input inside the form. The first input, the type is going to be test. Test. Then we'll give it an ID. It is going to be title. Okay. Now to have a placeholder, placeholder should be expense title. Required. And close it. Then create another input, which is going to be for number. Type number. And we'll give it an ID. It's going to be amount. You also have a placeholder. It's going to be amount. Required. Let's create a select button. Give it an ID. It is category. Category. Now let's try creating the option. Value. Value, which is food. Now let's copy. We are creating 4 options. Let's copy. And paste. 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 Now the first option is food. The second option is transport. Transport. The third option is bills. Lastly, others. So these are the 4 options we are creating for the expenses. So you can select any one of those options. Now let's create a button. Let's go to button. The type, which is submit button. Add expenses. And close the button. And outside the form, let's create an header, which is h3. So we have the total. So we'll make use of the $sign. Then we'll create a span. Then this span will have an ID. Total. Total. Then we'll close the ID. The span, I mean. So okay. Let's create an ordered list. We'll have an ID, which is expense list. Then let's create our JavaScript link, the source, which is script.js, and close it. Now let's view everything we've done in our browser. Okay. Now let's style it. Let's beautify it with our CSS. Now we'll go to the CSS file. Okay, so you can see what we are doing. Now imagine 0. Padding 0. Box sizing, border box. Then font family. I'm making use of area. So we've returned everything to default by doing this. Sans serif. Now let's start the body. Let's give it a background. F4, F6, F8. Now we want to display flex. Display flex. Now we want everything to be centered. So we make use of justify content and align items. So justify the content to center. Then align items to center. So everything will be centered. Then we give it a height of 100 VH. Now let's start the container. Okay, let's view it first. Okay, it's working. Now we'll start the container. So let's give it a background, which is FFF. Then let's give it a padding of 20 pixels. Then a width of 350 pixels. A border radius of 8 pixels. Then to have a box shadow. Zero, 5 pixels, 15 pixels, RGBA 0.1, the alpha. Let's view it. Okay, it's working. Now let's start the H2. The expense tracker. The text align. Let's center it. So it will be at the center of the container. The margin button. Let's add a margin to the bottom. It's going to be 15 pixels. Let's reload it. You can see the header. You can see the margin between the input and the H2, sorry. Now let's start the input, the form input, the select, start the select and the button to start the three of them. Button. Let's give it a width of 100%. A padding of 8 pixels. And let's add a margin to the bottom. It's going to be 10 pixels. Now let's style only the button now. The form button. Let's give it a background. 0076FF. Let's give it a color of white color. We don't want it to have a border, so we'll make it none. Then we want the cursor to be pointer. Anytime the cursor is on the button, to change to pointer. And let's give it a border radius of 4 pixels. Now, the over. So anytime we click on the phone button, we want the background color to change. 0056B3. Now let's start the expense list. That's the another list. Okay, it's working perfectly. That's the select button. So list style should be none. List style should be none. Then let's add a margin to the top. Margin to the top. Let's make use of 10 pixels. Margin top 10 pixels. Okay, moving forward. The each list, we want it to display flex. Let's view it. Okay. You just justify content. So we want space in between those words. Space between. Then a background. F1, F1, F1. Then a padding of 8 pixels. Let's add a margin to the bottom, which is going to be 5 pixels. And lastly, border radius of 4 pixels. 4 pixels. Now let's start delete button. Although we've not created the delete button, we'll do so using the JavaScript. but let's style it now. So we want the background to be red, and the color should be white. Then we don't want it to have a border, so we'll make it none. Let's give it a padding of 3 pixels and 6 pixels, both vertical and horizontal. Then the cursor should be pointer. And lastly, a border radius of 3 pixels. Now let's view it. Okay. Let's reload. Okay. It's working perfectly fine. So we made some errors. We'll correct it in our next class. We'll do that next week. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please. So we'll continue our next class next week. Thank you.